Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing and blessed day today. Hope everything's going well, whatever time or day it is for you. Today it's Tuesday, and we're on the second day of my life story, my testimony, and my question is, what is the meaning of life? And that's what I was truly seeking. And so we're going to backstep just a smidge. My dad was radically born again when I was one. And so he started going to church from then. And it was, oh, geez, sorry. It was a fair matter of contention between my mom and my dad when he got saved and started going to church because she was hurt real bad at church when she was younger, and so she didn't want to have anything to do with church. And here he is going to church all the time and all that stuff, and so that was a big problem. And I was kind of stuck in the middle. So my dad is a Christian and going to church, and my mom is kind of put a whole bunch of ideas together and come up with her own thing. And so I was stuck in the middle of what to do. And so I never really questioned whether God existed. In my mind, it just kind of was like, well, it came from somewhere. The Big Bang Theory never really made any sense to me. The whole rock, well, we got half lives, and this rock is we're millions of billions of years old, and it kept changing. None of that really made sense to me, but it was kind of like, whatever, I don't really care. And that was kind of where I was at. I believed in God, but I didn't know what he wanted for me and what he wanted to do and what it really matter, I guess. And so when I was in my teenage years, no, before that, my dad went to Lutheran Brethren Church, which the people there just loved well. And for some reason that spoke to me. They loved well, they cared about us, and it was a good place. Boring as heck, having to sit through service and what have you, but they loved well, and so that was nice. And so in my teenage years, my dad started going to an abundant Assembly of God's church, and the moment I walked in that place, I'm like, these people are self-righteous, closed-minded, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. So good luck, Dad. I'm never coming here again. I think I went to a couple Easter services, and that's about it. And then I was doing a lot of drugs. Luckily, I didn't get into heroin, but I did a little meth, did some cocaine, which totally blew my brain out, which is just retarded. But I did a lot of acid and mushrooms, and that was kind of my jam. And you know what is interesting is I figured out the meaning of life quite often when I was on those drugs. Problem is I would forget it 5 seconds later, and so that was kind of useless. So anyway, my dad, when I don't remember when it was, when I was 19, 20, somewhere in there, he had me read Ecclesiastes. And for some reason, the book of Ecclesiastes really spoke to me, because here we believe it's Solomon who wrote Ecclesiastes. And here is the man, the richest man in the world. He has done everything. He did do everything. He tried everything. I mean, he had like 1,000 wives. He had all the money. He's the richest man in the world. So, and he gave himself to all the pleasures of life. And in the end of that, he realized it is all meaningless. And that's really the point of Ecclesiastes. It is all meaningless. And maybe he spoke to me because that's exactly what I was feeling. It was get up, go to work, go home, go to sleep. That's meaningless. Life is meaningless. And that's what he said. Well, I've experienced all this pleasure, but in the end, it's just as chasing after the wind. It's useless. It's meaningless unless you have God. And that kind of spoke to me. And so and at that point, I was kind of seeking, looking for the meaning of life. And me and my dad moved up into the mountains of Colorado, a little place, Pine Junction, and he started going to a church called Mountain High Christian Center. And so I went to an Easter service to appease my dad, go to church, go to Easter service for them, and went to church. And here the pastor is talking about the gospel in a way that I've never heard before. And that God loves us no matter what, that he cares about us, he accepts us the way we are, and all he wants is relationship. And that just blew me away. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the message. God loves us and cares for us, and he just wants to have a relationship with us. And that was awesome. So I said, Dad, you should go to this church. It's good. I'm not going to go, but you should go. And so that's where I'm going to leave you today. Tomorrow, we're going to get into where I actually got saved, and it's a pretty powerful story. So I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have an amazing